After a thrilling conclusion to Season 3 at Ellen Road, and yesterday's review show showing you exactly how we got to be winning the Premier League, the Carabao Cup and the Super Cup, today we're going to be pushing on into Season 4 and giving you a preview of what is going to be happening, including some transfers and everything that happens in pre-season as we build into Season 4 of Leeds United, Pride of Yorkshire. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Leeds United, Pride of Yorkshire. So, as you may have heard in the little intro there, today we're going to be showing off some brand new transfers, also maybe losing a player or two as we go along, and also we will chronicle everything that happens in the pre-season. So, if you're new here and you haven't experienced this kind of episode before, today what we're going to be doing is show you everything that happens along the way between now, which is the 9th of June, the first day that the transfer window is going to open, all the way up until the eve of the brand new season. Every signing, every release, every single thing that goes on between now and then will all be coming up. So let's jump straight on in. Let's not waste any time on this one, as we have 3 new signings to unveil straight away. Let's show you them right away. Okay then, 3 bits of brilliant transfer news to start the episode off. As always, the players coming in are probably more important than the players going out. Bit of a roundabout might happen in this season because we do have a few players who are looking to leave. Thiago Alcantara has gone crazy. Only been with us since January. He's already handed in a transfer request in the summer. So maybe he will be one of the ones that are on the move. But it doesn't matter because, as you can see from the screen, we have signed 3 players straight away on the 9th of June, getting our business done nice and early. So the first player is Matthias Scally. He is a 19-year-old regen or new gen, however you class them these days. He comes to us from River Plate, and he is a player that popped up on our scouting report from an Argentinian Cup, I think it was. And basically our scouts went absolutely crazy, and you can see why. So this kid at the age of 19 already has dribbling of 16, finishing of 16, first touch of 16, technique of 13, agility 16, balance 17, teamwork 16, pace of 15, acceleration of 13. If we go into his career stats, you can see that he's played 19 times for River Plate, scoring 9 goals, and he has an average rating over 2 seasons of 7.07. We have swooped in and snapped him up for what will turn out to be, I'm sure, a bargain at £12.5 million. Comes in on £21,500 per week. The next one, as I just mentioned, Thiago Alcantara being a bit troublesome, handed in a transfer request, so not too sure how that is going to work out, but we might have already just snapped up his replacement in Ryan Gravenberch. He is a player that I have done plenty of Wonder Kid videos on, and he's one of the potential superstars of FM22. So I'm absolutely chuffed to get this deal over the line. I think he will come in, fit our style of play perfectly, can play as a holder, can play as an out-and-out midfielder, can also play as an attacking midfielder. His stats speak for themselves, and I think everybody pretty much knows the name Ryan Gravenberch. We have had to pay probably a little more than I would have liked at £45 million, but again, we've spread that out across 3 seasons, so 20 million up front and then a few more million going here and there based on a few things that will happen as his career progresses at Leeds United. The other player that we have signed is Wilfried Singo. He's a player that wasn't really on my radar, popped up through an agent, I think. Basically, they were touting him out. He'd already had offers from Napoli and from Juventus. Had a quick look at him and thought we need an out-and-out right-back or right-sided player. And looking at his stats, acceleration 17, agility 16, jumping reach 16, pace of 16, he has tackling of 13, passing is 12, off the ball 14. He has such a good broad range of stats that I couldn't resist swooping in and taking him from, where did we sign him from? Roma in the end. So Roma paid 24 million from Torino. We paid them slightly less, and again, this is structured across a couple of seasons to give us a bit more flexibility in the market. So that is the first three deals all wrapped up. We're going to jump forward and bring you any more action that happens in the transfer market. Just a quick one before I do that, actually. Looking at the finances, we still have £28.7 million to spend. And if you remember, one of the requirements for the season's expectations was for us to spend all of the transfer budget. Looking at the wage budget, we are overspent, so I am going to have to adjust the budgets a little bit. But if we do get some offers for players in, that could move the wage budgets around as well. Certainly with Thiago, if that transfer request does go through, that will knock a good £120,000 off of that wage budget. So one to figure out and work around, but I'm pretty sure that we can do that as we go along. So let's jump forwards to the next action that we need to bring you in the transfer market. So then we have another player that has arrived at Ellen Road. This time it is Ilyas Housney. Ilyas Housney? Housney. Yeah, I think it's Ilyas Housney. That's what we're going to go with. He's a 19-year-old striker that we are signing from Paris Saint-Germain. It does say up in the top right-hand corner that scouting is required, but our scouts are the one that brought him to our attention. Another player who plays up front, he's another 19-year-old. He's a French under-19 international. He has good core technical stats, so dribbling of 16, finishing of 12, first touch of 14. He has technique of 13. He has all the attributes. He's only 5'10". He's 10 stone 9 pounds, so might need a little bit of work, but he's a player that we are bringing in for a bargain price, and if he could fulfill his potential, I think this here could be an absolute steal. We bought him in for £550,000 from Paris Saint-Germain, and I think that this is a transfer that could work out in a couple of years. Definitely with Šeško attracting some big interest as well. We are going to need to hold on to him for everything we've got, but to have players like this in the background who could develop into something better, I think that's a bargain that we are going to, reap the rewards of further on down the line. Later on that day, we also confirmed another signing. This one is Patati. He is a 20-year-old attacking midfielder. Another one that popped up on the scouting report, said that he had bundles of potential. He is a player that is coming to us from Santos. So let's have a little look at him. He is a raw 20-year-old Brazilian playmaker who has some really good stats in terms of his dribbling, his finishing, his first touch. Passing is good, technique is good, in terms of his flair of 16, determination 15, vision of 13, work rate of 12. In terms of his physicals, he has good balance, agility, acceleration. His pace is 13. He's 5'10", 11 stone 9, player who really is going to develop and mould into a future star, I believe. This is a signing that the scouts said would be a useful signing for the future. I think he's a player who could actually come in and do a job right now. For the price of £6 million, there are a few add-ons, as you can see there. We have agreed to loan him back until the end of the season in Brazil as well. So a little bit more of his development to come out before he becomes a full-time Leeds United player. But this is a deal that I am chuffed to have got done. And the latest player that we will be signing is Patati. Okay, not the update that I thought I'd actually be bringing you, but we've just had a friendly reminder from the board that our wage expenditure is getting slightly out of control. I hadn't realised that the contracts that I handed out earlier on in the season to Canate and Bentancur didn't kick in until the 20 something of June, 24th of June, I think it was, which means that our wage bill went from 2.4 million to 2.9 million, which meant that the board have basically made us wipe out the 22 million pounds that we had available. So the rest of this video is going to be pretty much sell to buy. Not too sure what's going to happen from here on in. There might be some more transfer dealings, there might not be, but there's a long way to go. We've just had our pre-season announced, and we're going to see if anybody wants to come in and buy some fringe players so we can either get more wage budget or sign some more players. Okay then, so as you would have heard in the last little clip there, we have hit a financial wall and we are having to sell some fringe players to maybe um, free up some transfer budget and also some wages budget. The first player that is going to be moved on is Lucas Nemeka. We bought him in last season. Let's have a little look at how much for. So we bought him from Wolfsburg for £10 million. And he wasn't really one that I was thinking about selling, but Red Bull Leipzig came in and they inquired how much we wanted for him. We said £22.5 million, so making the club a £12.5 million profit, which is one of the things that they did say they wanted us to do, bring in first team players on the cheap, sell them back on for a profit. So we are taking £22.5 million for Lucas Nemeka. Only a bit part player last season, but he's one that we can move on and take that money and hopefully reinvest it in what we need at the club. Another bit of transfer news, another player that is going to be departing, and another player that is actually going to be going to Red Bull Leipzig. Moneybags Leipzig have come to the rescue and really have bailed us out. It's a player that I don't want to sell. It's Ahmed Hodzic. He has been absolutely brilliant for us. The problem that I do have though is his contract runs out at the end of the season. His current wage is £29,500 and he wants £175,000 per week. I'm pretty sure he's not going to get that at Red Bull Leipzig. But again, when we look at what was expected of us, we bought him in for £9.5 million. We are going to move him on for £36 million to Red Bull Leipzig. So the board absolutely should be delighted with the amount of money they're going to be getting. It's another first team player that we have moved on for a profit. Not one that I really want to do. Ahmed Hodzic has been a brilliant defender for us, but it's just a move I cannot turn down. He will be sent on his way to Leipzig. Another bit of sad transfer news to bring you. This is a player that I absolutely adore, and in my last FM21 Englishman Abroad series where I managed Buriram United, Supinat was an absolute superstar for me. The problem I've got is I've got so many players who play in those wide positions. He's not going to get a game ahead of Šeško up front. He's probably not going to get in ahead of Rafinha, Daniel James, Brandt. There's a whole wealth of players that we have in the positions that he plays. So I didn't offer him out to clubs, but Atalanta came in and asked how much it would take for him to be able to move on. The answer was £19.5 million, which again, if we have a little look at his career stats, so we bought him in for £825,000, which means the club are going to be making nearly £19 million profit on a player that really hasn't made it in terms of our first team squad. He has had loans though at Sporting just before he joined us. Did play okay for them. He then went back to Buriram United, played well. Went to Red Bull Leipzig, had an okay season, and then has come back to us for pre-season. But having troubles with both the wage budget and the transfer budget, I think this is the right move at the right time. And unfortunately, Supinat will be moved on. Another player on the departures playing then is Matthew Zinio, a player that was signed from a Wonder Kids list that I thought that he would actually develop into something pretty spectacular. Turns out he actually didn't develop as well as I thought. Struggled in the Premier League, struggled to fit into our team. So he is a player that we have signed for £4.9 million. Unfortunately, this is one of the rare occasions where we are going to take a hit. We are shipping him out for £2.3 million. He's off to Atalanta to join Supinat Moanta. Quickly following him out of the door is Mergin Vojvoda. He was a player that was brought in really just to be a bit of a rotation option. We signed him for £1.4 million from Torino back in 22-23. We were offered £9.75 million from Leganes in Spain. So we have put the rubber stamp and the seal of approval on that deal. We are making profit from these players, and the board, hopefully, as a 29-year-old player, will like the fact that we have got more than we paid for him. And obviously, this is a good deal for all parties involved. So we are completely wheeling and dealing here. Not too sure if there's going to be many more signings to come in or go out. Pre-season is about to start as well, but the fun that is the transfer window is really at its height. After quite a few players were moved out, we're looking in the market really for some bargain players. And we noticed that Stefano Sensi was available. He is a 28-year-old central midfielder, so he's one that goes in with the Phillips, Verratti, Gravenberch. We are kind of stockpiling, but with Thiago Alcantara looking to move out, we already signed Gravenberch in this window. When he pops up for £8 million, it's a player that we really couldn't pass up on. When you look at his passing, his technique, his flair, all those green stats that come with this player seem to make this an absolute no-brainer. He can play all of those three midfield positions again: defensive midfielder, midfielder centre, attacking midfielder centre. So a bit of competition for Puig, bit of competition in the defensive holding midfield positions as well for the bigger players. But for the bargain price of £9 million, we paid £9 million in the end. He's coming in as a fringe player with considerably lower wages than the players that have been in that position. I really think this is a player that can help us to keep that midfield rotation going. He's going to put pressure on those players that are in there, and I think this is a bit of a bargain, really, considering his age and his price. The door then keeps revolving at Ellen Road, and a player that is going to be leaving us is Jens Kajust, another player that I absolutely adore. I think he's going to be an absolute world star in real life. In terms of the game, we signed him for £8 million in 22-23. He ended up being just a makeshift right back in the end. Juventus have come along with a £30 million offer that we really couldn't turn down. I think this is a good deal for everybody involved. We're going to get a few more transfer spends. He's going to get to go to Juventus, and it takes a little bit more off of our wage budget. So, is there going to be any more players coming in? The time is ticking away. We play Manchester United in the Charity Shield in 8 days' time. We will be cutting it fine to get players in before that game. But stranger things have happened. Okay, so we have finally reached the eve of a brand new season, and as we are Premier League winners and Manchester United were the Charity Shield winners, that means we will be facing off in the curtain raiser at Wembley once again. So that brings us to a conclusion with the transfers. Really, there is one big deal that is still brewing in the background. Diego Llorente has become unhappy at the club again. This has led to him asking for a move. There's been a £25 million bid from Inter Milan for the player, so we will see what happens with that. So the last thing to do then is round up what has been happening with the pre-season as always. So we started our pre-season against Osijek, a game in which we absolutely dominated, as you would expect a Premier League team to do. Goals from Adeyemi, Gravenberch, Adeyemi and Angelo, securing a 4-2 victory in that game. We then went to America for our pre-season camp, and we started off there with a 5-0 victory over New York Cosmos. Goals from Gravenberch, Lufc, Thomas and Adeyemi, securing a comfortable win. We then went and played DC United. Another comfortable victory there where we absolutely battered them. 33 shots, 10 on target. 2 goals, though, from Kiergaard, a name that really has been forgotten in the save. He is just about to go out on loan again to Luton. Not really made an impact in my first team, but where there is still hope at his tender age, he could still develop into something in the save. We then played against Charleston Battery, and we battered them 5-1. Goals from Brenner, Daniel James, Junior Firpo and Sensi, securing a win there. Before we then came home and we went up to Scotland to play against Rangers, should I say, in a friendly on home soil, well, Scottish soil. We had 30 shots, 18 of them on target, next year 2.90, and goals from Lufc, Sheshko and Wisdom Ami, who is a name that might have been missed, I think. Well, we actually signed him last season, sent him out on loan to Hamburg. He has come back. He's going to be a big part of the first team this season. He's going to be one of those players that could step in and replace Ahmed Hodzic, which is why you may notice we haven't actually signed any centre-backs to replace him. So, a 5-1 victory to round out our pre-season schedule. And that brings us on to the Manchester United game, where we will be playing in the Community Shield to start the season off. And then our fixture list goes as follows: West Ham, Southampton, Aston Villa to start the season. We then have Manchester City on the 28th of September, Tottenham on the 5th of October, and then we have a bit of a mental run here to get December up and running, where we play Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester United all in a row. We then turn into the new year, and then we play Manchester City on the 1st of February, Tottenham on the 15th of February, before going into a running that will include Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, and Arsenal, finishing off with Sheffield United and Newcastle. So, if we are struggling to get points on the board, or maybe even if we need to be winning those games at the running, we might have a little bit of trouble there at the end of the season. But hopefully, we are going to put together a decent account of ourselves as we look to defend our Premier League title. There is nothing else that we can do. Hopefully, just get on and hopefully bring another Premier League title back to Ellen Road. So that brings us to an end of the season 4 preview episode. We also threw in the pre-season results just for good measure. So a bit of a mixed bag in terms of what happened there. So we made our signings early, getting in Gravenberch and Singo. We then went to the financial wall, had to sell quite a few players. There were some fringe players that weren't going to make it anyway. That got moved on, so not too much of a bad thing. The whole wage budget might continue to be an issue. We have just secured Benjamin Šeško on a new 4-year deal that puts his wages up to £165,000, I believe, which is why we couldn't offer that kind of money to Ahmed Hodzic. But we managed to turn it around. We got the signings in that we wanted. If Llorente moves out, there is a few other players that I'm looking to buy. We do need 1 or 2 English players for the homegrown, because we are going to struggle to make Champions League squad registration restrictions, I think. So maybe 1 or 2 more transfers to come. But that is all going to be for another day. If though you are still watching at this point and you're enjoying the content, you've enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to help the channel out. Every interaction helps the channel so much. Let me know in the comment section down below, did I do the right thing with the players I've bought in? Have I completely ballsed up by getting so close to the transfer budget and the wage budget? What has happened? Is this a squad that is going to go on and try and defend its Premier League title? All that should go in the comment section down below. But for this one, I'm going to wrap it up, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we face off against Manchester United in a Roses Derby Community Shield.